In August 2005, a storm forming in the warm waters of the Atlantic Ocean initially appeared to be just another tropical system. But within days, this system would be named Katrina and soon become one of the most devastating natural disasters in modern U.S. history. Katrina gathered strength in the Caribbean, reached Category 5 in the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico, and on the morning of August 29th advanced toward the Louisiana coast, especially New Orleans, at a deadly speed. The city of New Orleans was largely below sea level and had been protected by levee systems for centuries. But under Katrina's impact, most of these levees failed. Water surrounded the city from all sides. With more than 80% of the city submerged, transportation, communication, and infrastructure were destroyed. Thousands of people waited for help on rooftops, while emergency response was delayed. Agencies like the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, faced heavy criticism. Poor crisis management and lack of preparation turned the natural disaster into a humanitarian catastrophe. Katrina brought not only physical destruction, but also tested the social fabric of the U.S. The greatest impact was felt by poor, predominantly African-American communities. Evacuation plans were lacking, and transportation was insufficient. Many people could not leave the city before the hurricane. Injustices during relief efforts, media representations, and inequalities highlighted to the public brought racial and class tensions back into focus. The concept of a double disaster emerged in the country, one of nature, the other of systemic neglect. Prior to Katrina, many academic and meteorological studies predicted the risk of a major hurricane for New Orleans. Scientists had emphasized for years that the levee systems could not withstand a storm of this magnitude. In 2004, FEMA even included major hurricane in New Orleans in its list of most likely and most frightening scenarios. But these warnings were lost in bureaucracy. After the hurricane, measures taken by some energy companies to protect oil infrastructure strengthened the perception that the local population had been abandoned. The material damage caused by Katrina was recorded at approximately $125 billion. More than 1,800 lives were lost. Electricity, water, and communication infrastructures were out of service for weeks. Tens of thousands of homes were destroyed or made uninhabitable. The population of the city center dropped by more than 50% after the disaster. Tourism, port activities, and health services were on the verge of collapse. This situation affected not only the local economy, but also regional and national economies. Insurance companies neared bankruptcy. Waves of migration created social pressure in other states. Katrina caused a global outcry. Major media outlets like CNN and BBC broadcasted the catastrophe live for days. The U.S.'s image as a superpower was shattered by a government seen as unable to protect its own citizens. International aid was offered. Some countries wanted to send help, but bureaucratic obstacles made it difficult for the aid to be effective. The vulnerability of such a developed nation highlighted the importance of planning, not just resources, in crisis management. After Katrina, many independent and government-supported studies were conducted. Construction mistakes with the levee systems, communication breakdowns, and lack of local federal coordination were analyzed in detail. The National Academy of Sciences and the U.S. Congress described Katrina as a chain of managerial failures. These findings became key resources for future disaster scenarios. Katrina was a wake-up call for the U.S. Steps were taken such as FEMA's restructuring, strengthening the levee systems, and revising disaster management plans to include local communities. New Orleans embarked on a reconstruction process. However, some areas experienced gentrification, making it harder for low-income residents to return. Still, Katrina became a case study for urban planning, disaster management, and climate crisis response for many cities. Katrina was a harbinger of not just the past, but also the future. Scientists pointed out that rising ocean temperatures were increasing the power of hurricanes. This meant disasters like Katrina would not be rare, but more frequent. Climate-based urban planning was put on the agenda in the U.S. and worldwide. The effects of global warming began to impact not only the environment, but also social justice and security. In this sense, Katrina was the human face of the climate crisis. Katrina was never forgotten, even years later. Documentaries, films, and books chronicled the disaster. Its traces could be seen in music and literature. In collective memory, it became a symbol of forgotten people. This tragedy revealed not only the power of nature, but also the destructive impact of neglect. Even though New Orleans has been reborn, the lessons learned are still discussed. Preventing similar disasters in the future means honoring Katrina's legacy. I covered the destructive impact and social consequences of Hurricane Katrina. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more content like this, like the video, and share your thoughts in the comments. Every comment is very valuable.